Hello, beautiful world. Here we are, episode 7 of our outrageously evolving podcast. It's me, Slara Green, and
It's me, Santari Green,
so
again.
one of our best videos so far was video number 2, which was on genius. It's got the most views of everything we've done so far. And so I was a little bit inspired this morning to decide and talk to you about doing this next episode a little bit on from genius, and it's called How to Put Motion in the Ocean of Words. And it was inspired by, you put a post into Facebook yesterday that you had wrapped up your last assignment for your honors BA in English literature. And someone replied and put this comment on the post. So I thought I'd read it as a kind of intro into the podcast. She said, "Wait, what other books? I am still reeling in the one that I did read of Santari's books," she's talking about. "It has changed my perspective on storytelling. I need to be taken away in every story like that one did." Isn't that a great quote? And
it's a tremendously fantastic quote.
It certainly
Thank
is.
you.
And it was a tremendously fantastic book. So I thought we'd talk about how you and I can put into a lot of our writing. I wouldn't say it happens all the time, 100%, but we can put into a lot of our writing this kind of soul-stirring, emotive, even it evokes evolution in people. It evokes awareness. It evokes openings and movement. That's why I call it putting motion in the ocean of words. And I thought we'd talk a little bit about how we do that. So I wondered if we'd start into it by, would you read one of my favorite quotes of your writing that I think comes from The Way of Dragons, yes?
It's from The Way of Dragons, yes, his book. I'll give a little bit of context to it. I think I wrote this particular passage when we were living in Spain, and we were living by the sea. And I was, in fact, doing an Open University module at the time. And there was some writings that I was doing that were inspired by being by the sea. And in this particular extract that I'm going to read, I had a thought, I had a reflection that there was a picture, a painting that we had back in 1997, which I really treasured it. And it was about depicting Neptune, or Poseidon, some people will call, riding his chariot towards the shore, and he's flanked by white horses. And of course, the white horses are the waves coming to crash on the shoreline. It's a painting by Walter Crane, I found out. And that sort of like gave me the inspiration for the picture from which I could then write. So I'll read you the extract, a little bit more than I read to you before, because I want to give some more context to the actual feeling about where this writing is coming from.
Okay.
If there is a God, then surely that God is filled with joy and wonder and delight at the freedom to create paradises and bestow gifts of abundance upon any and all. I am drawn to a vision of that God. I can see myself in it. I am galloping across the beach. I am aware of my steed, but cannot see it, for my gaze is perpendicular to my line of flight. I am watching with a feeling of excitement and wonder the curling symmetry of waves as they come crashing to shore. Spray arcs above a long, sinuous curl of water, droplets cast high to catch the sun, pearls flung in delight as the white foam gladly dashes onto the golden beach. I hear the plashing of my steed's hooves as we close in on the shoreline, and the sound of voices from an unseen choir singing of glory and celebration. It is a spectacular combination of sight, sound, presence, and knowingness. I am aware that I am the power of God in flight, riding the steed of consciousness along the plains of light that separate the worlds. The purpose of my ride is to forge awakenings in people, to create possibilities for their growth, and to shape destinies from the waters of consciousness in all the worlds, in all the universes. By my presence, all this is done. I turn my gaze ahead now and quicken the pace, for soon I will enter the water and become one with it, imparting my force of momentum and instilling power and direction. My steed is not a horse, though it may ride like one. It is barely substance, a spectral being created for my desire and shaped by my will. Now we turn and plunge into the water, and my steed rearranges itself to bear my driving force downwards. The water closes over us as we plunge deep. Darkness is around, towering high, but down here I can easily imprint the darkness with the light of consciousness. I am a shining bearer of light. This I know through every thrill and particle of my existence. Majestic. It is all breathtakingly majestic, though none will witness what is being done. None but my eyes shall see the luminous shafts of life that carry the codes for life, form gleaming patterns in the darkness. None shall behold the meeting of consciousness with the worlds of matter and form. I am aware that my breath, my power, is placed into all forms of life, to birth, awaken, germinate, blossom, enliven, change, and transform, rebirth, bless, and hold as perfect the rhythm of each form of consciousness. I luxuriate in the vision before it fades, and before my ordinary senses remind me that I am once again in my room, hastily grabbing pen and journal that I may preserve all that I have just experienced. There was a great purpose in having that vision. I had only to think of a God whose purpose was to create bountiful life, and instantly I became that. I commanded the space in which that vision took place. I was that God, and there is nothing to suggest that I have stopped being that God. For there is no doubt that what just happened was real. It was my presence, my witnessing, my active involvement that gave energy to what might otherwise be a pretty picture. If I did not fill that vision, then it would be lacking in substance, direction, and meaning. Perhaps there would be no vision at all. I am forced to conclude that my visions are powerful and have incalculable consequences. As I recollect the details of the ride, I return to my vision and search the waters, expecting to see the fabled god Poseidon riding his chariot flanked by white horses of wild wind and water, surging resolutely onwards in a fierce drive to the shore. As I conjure this vision, holding it clear in my mind as a true thing, then something in me explodes from a place deeper than my waking eyes allow me to see. A thunderous expression of delight is born in me, for I affirm that my visions and conjurations have a place in my awakened human state, that there is a meeting of worlds taking place, a coming together of the physical and the non-physical, a resolution between my ideas about reality and what others might claim to be fantasy, for it is all one to me. I create miracles. I change water into wine by taking a little basic understanding and creating a sweetness of life from it, so that my thoughts, my stories, my use of language become a gift for those most in need of that gift. The act of giving is a gift. The one who gives is a gift. The one who receives is a gift. Wherever any of us meet, physically or in any other way, we are sharing our gifts, whether we know this or not. I want to explain this further. So I will refer to the boisterous waves of my vision that accompany Poseidon on his race to shore. Those who have non-magical eyes will see torrents of sparkling water splatter their upturned faces as they swim close to shore. But those with magical eyes will realize that here is a baptism, that they are being showered with an abundance of blessings from the Spirit of life, whose laughter echoes in their ears, whilst the waves around them are dancing with joy and celebration of their wakefulness.
Beautiful. I've never heard the whole thing before. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So here's what I want us to talk about. Where did that come from?
You'll find as you listen to certain parts of it, it actually tells you where it comes from. I could go back and reread those exact moments where it really does say to you, something is bursting from, from me, from inside of me, as there is a realization that the fantasy and the reality are both one and the same. It's almost like there's a recognition about there isn't a humdrum of life. You may perceive there to be a humdrum of reality, but really there's a terrific force that's impelling us to recognize that what we are witnessing in ourselves is truly magnificent. And that, I think, is really what we want to explore.
And I know in your writing, and I occasionally can tap it in mine as well, but also in your speaking, when you speak sometimes that this roar of rush of awesome, I'm going to call it power, but I don't mean that in a power over sense. I mean that in the power of life surging like waves upon a new shore. That's how it occurs for me when I listen to you speak or write like that. And sometimes when it comes through me like that as well. So what I wanted to do in this podcast is explore, how do we bring that through in a way that puts motion in the ocean of words? Because like you were talking about the mundane and the fantasy and the merging and the magnificence, the ocean of words in the world, a lot of them just fall, seedlessly almost into life. But we're kind of like star makers, I guess. So when words pour through us, when they fall from us, whether it's in writing or speaking or any other form, they seed life, they seed movement, they seed outrageous evolution, which is what our podcast is about. And I think that in the allowing of the pulsing of them through us, as you said, gift, and it's a gift who writes it, it's a gift who speaks it, it's a gift who receives it. We evolve on those words. And I think sometimes other people who either listen or read them evolve on those words as well. Would you say something like that as well about it?
Well, what I'm thinking about here is how the words act as a portal for people to walk through, which is what you started the quote at the beginning, to allow someone to enter like the world of Narnia, or to enter into the universe that Tolkien describes.
Mm.
It is a desire to go into those worlds to begin with, but what the writer, the author, is showing you is that there is something powerful in the act of writing itself, which facilitates that movement in consciousness and allows people to no longer just look at the words and read the words, but they're working with the words and making meaning from them themselves, so that there's an act of alchemy which the reader is doing as they're reading or listening to the words being spoken.
Yes.
So in the very beginning of that extract, What I'm saying is, I'm drawn to a vision of that God. And it is like as those words are being written, it is drawing a reader into, oh, we're now going to feel something about perhaps godness, or we're going to anticipate that we are a participant in this adventure that's now unfolding in front of us. So there is a willingness to really want to go in there and to explore what the words are saying to us.
Yeah.
And it's the power of the vision which I was holding at that time, using that image of Poseidon, in his chariot with his white horses flanking him,
Yeah.
coming to the shore. And that also paralleled with, well, my experience of being in Spain, that we were by the water for, I think it was 6 months, constantly sort of like having this embrace about communicating with the water. And I think it's something powerful in you starts to emerge,
Yeah.
because it is and we were on holiday as well. We were on an extended holiday. And when you're on holiday, you're no longer being in that same world as you do, and in some sort of humdrum way, the same things, the boring routines over and over again. No, this was a magical experience that we were having, and that I was putting down in these words, even as I wasn't consciously trying to do so.
Yeah.
The words gave the picture of what I was experiencing. The way that I was holding the image of that vision somehow also translates into the story that's being read by the reader,
Yeah.
who's almost like taken. And that, I think, is what I'm talking about, the gift. You're now being Poseidon, riding in his chariot.
Yeah.
You're now being a godlike figure who is commanding the waves to part so that something can be placed into the consciousnesses of all the universes. Seems fantastical, but that is the joy and the wonder about writing and being a storyteller.
Yeah.
You are placing something epic into motion, and you're being fantastical in your writing and outrageous in your delivery of it. And you're not trying to somehow make it a pretty picture that someone will want to read. You're just exploding their ideas about what it is to be a godlike figure, because some people will never have had that experience. But I was having that experience in the writing of it. And that makes the profound difference, I think.
Yes. And you were talking about it kind of bursting from you, I think, as you said, as an experience. When I have the privilege of tapping something like that and writing it through, for me, it often comes more from there as a genius flow, as a burst coming through me. And it's like it's like you get on this golden surfboard and this gigantic tsunami comes to get you. And you get on the surfboard and you know how to ride. And that golden surfboard just takes the curl of the wave just perfectly. And your job as a writer, for me anyways, is to get out of the way, to be a part of it, to put myself into it, not to just be nothing with it, but at the same point to not get in the way of the flow of power. And I think that's what you were just saying, is that what happens is you can't step back from the emboldened profound power of it. You have to let yourself ride into the emboldened profound power. Would you say that?
I would say you embody the power.
Okay.
For the first book of Magical, yes, I was almost like being given stories to write and put into a book form. But in the writing of this book, The Way of Dragons, it took me almost 10 years to write, because I had no idea at the beginning what it was going to be about. I didn't know the form of it, the structure of it, the plot of it. I didn't know who the characters were going to be. It is autobiographical in a sense. And this particular extract is taken from the last part of the book, which is about storytelling itself and about visions, employing visions in storytelling. So therefore, I was on very firm ground with what I was writing.
Yeah.
And I think this idea about embodying what it is that you want to write about, you don't have an idea about what it is you're writing,
Yeah.
but it and you together, the power of the writing itself is in, for me, it's in me. And
Yeah.
what I'm doing is I'm unlocking a secret door that
Yes.
says to me, in this place, you will write about the fantastic, the unimaginable, the mysterious, the magical, the profound, whatever it is that wants now to be written. You are the author who will pick up the pen and you will start to write the most fabulous stories ever. And I think if you have that as a direction for your writing, that you're going to write the most fabulous stories that have ever been written, then that almost like allows a channel for the power of something amazing to
Yes.
actually start to move, not only in your direction, but through you, because of you, and with you.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Okay. I think we'll stop there and we're going to record a second one shortly. And I'm going to say that we're going to record the second one, which is our number 8 podcast on writing about godness, because I think you and I do a goodly amount of that. And I think the things that we tend to write I don't tend to see much written like them in the world. And it might be interesting to talk about why we do that and how that fits into outrageously evolving. So sound good?
Absolutely. Why not?
Okay. Well, thanks for listening to our number 7, everybody, on how to put motion in the ocean of words. That was fantastic. Thank you, Santari. I loved listening to that. In fact, I even gasped several times as you read that chapter from the book. So if you'd like to read Santari's book, it's on Amazon. You can get it. It's The Way of Dragons by Santari Green, and you can just look it up on Amazon, whichever is your country for Amazon, and get it through there. So thanks for listening.
Until the next one.